Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first podcast that we're going to do on this channel. And it's one I've been, this whole thing, I guess, really, not just the podcast itself, but everything that we're doing here is something I've been trying to do for years now. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing here and everything about it. So I just kind of wanted to do this. It's going to be a solo today. Most of the time we're going to be talking to other creators and things like that, and I just want to kind of go over what this whole channel is going to be about. So I figured today we get into like what was holding me up and what we want to do here, just all basically everything about the channel, and kind of get it out there, that way you know what to expect. But I've talked about this on the stream for, I mean, like I say, years now, where I've wanted to highlight creators, talk to creators, get to know people. I personally love just learning about what people do, and I like content creation in general. I mean, you guys know, like, I have loved watching YouTube stuff and Twitch and getting to know creators, friends, and things like that. When it comes to music, art, all of it. So I love that kind of stuff, and I figure this is a great way to both get to know creators and explore the things I enjoy, but also explore what other people enjoy, and kind of get to know basically a little bit about this space that we all kind of share together. I also want to use this to like really encourage people to get started creating things, and this especially is a great like stepping point for myself as well, and kind of show people just start things. I mean, that was the advice I was always given, was just jump out, get in there, put something out there, especially with YouTube. Any kind of long form creating or anything like that, just start doing stuff. But that goes without saying for anything. You got to put a foot forward. And with this podcast, just another example of like, hey, just get something done. Just put something out there. I mean, I threw the art together for it. I made this scene, and everything going on here. It's basically just the display of some of the main socials I work on, but then also it'll be where like another creator is going to be, or at least their logo or information about them. I plan on using this to, like I say, promote and showcase other streamers, but I think it's a great way to collaborate too. So um, basically, I just want to start from the beginning. So with this channel, like I say, I wanted to know more about my friends, more about other creators, and just collaborate with people in a more deep and meaningful way. I stream full time. I create on all these platforms, but that Twitch channel that you can see there, that is basically what I do. Definitely weekly, almost daily sometimes, and it's a way I connect with people. I know there's a lot of talks to collaborate with other creators and things on stream, which I understand if your channel fits that vibe. For me personally, I like to mostly chat. I like to mostly talk to anybody in the stream, whether they create or not, but just, put vibes out there, make a space where we can all just kind of hang out and relax. Whatever game's happening, it doesn't really matter as much as just getting that kind of, like I say, vibe established on the stream, where we're all just hanging out, just a bunch of buddies hanging out. And it's tougher to collaborate in a space like that because, in my opinion, the collaborations need to be mutually beneficial. It needs to be like I bring something to the table, and then the person I collaborate with also brings something to the table. So this whole thing is like, I've wanted to, play games with other people. I've wanted to collaborate with other people, talk to other people, and get to know them. But I also don't want to sacrifice what we have going on the stream. Anytime I've ever done like a joint stream or a collaboration, it's been at the expense of something. So if I'm playing a game with somebody, and my idea is I want to highlight that person, I want that streamer to be known by people in my community. So try to talk a little bit about what they do, who they are. Now, if you come late to that, or maybe you have to leave early, or you're lurking, or whatever the case might be, you might miss a lot of key information on them. So then the thought is like, okay, so if we do a 3-hour stream together, how often do we reinitiate that? Because I got people coming and going the whole time. And if we get a raid, same deal. It's like, okay, I introduce myself, but then I also have to introduce who we're playing with. And by then, all I'm doing is basically essentially just talking to chat, which is what I would do normally. However, it shifts to mostly just promoting who I'm playing with. It makes sense, but it's at the same time it's just a little tougher to then showcase what we will do together. It's also tough with two different chats to get on the same page, and I know Twitch is constantly evolving tools and things like that to drive the collaborative effort. Like you can have the multiple chat interface now where you see which chat is talking to who and where they're coming from and everything like that. So that's a nice little tool they've invented for the Twitch collaborations. However, I still think that gets a little complicated, a little messy, and it doesn't solve the original problem of like, okay, when do we just play a game together, and share moments with each other, and then when do we also highlight each other's streams and, space and stuff like that. So to me, it just was a little confusing. And I thought, okay, well, that's all great for collaborating, but what if we just have a separate channel for podcasts where we can collaborate and literally just focus on the streamer or the creator, the artist, whatever. If you have an event coming up, if you have like a new channel you want to promote, if you're an artist and you want to share what you do, I want people to be able to get that information at their own leisure whenever they want to. And I also want the creator that we are talking to be able to take this video or this link or whatever and have it in their chat or, wherever they want to have it. And they could show anybody new in their stream or on their channel or wherever, hey, this is a little bit about me. This is kind of me getting information about myself out there. You can get to know me a little better. And newer people can kind of get acclimated to the type of person and creator you are faster. Or at least that's the hope. I mean, if people really want to get to know each other, I think this creative space, the more you know who a person is, and we always talk about how like people know a little too much or they don't have to know everything, and that's fine. But when you talk about the creative space, like what am I walking into? And I think that's the most important thing to get to know and to share here. So that's kind of where this all came from. Now, I was talking about the recent tools, but this idea for collaborating came way before any of these other developments and way before I was thinking about this. So, like, back maybe a year or so after I started streaming, 2022, we were doing some joint streams and some dual streams and things like that. And it was just hard to manage talking to chat the way I wanted to, but also not neglecting who was in the game with me. And for me, I don't know if this is just a me problem, but I always want to be talking to chat. So if somebody's playing a game with me, it's like I need to finish my thoughts and then focus on who I'm playing the game with. A lot of times I don't even care if the game's going on or what's happening on my screen. I'm not really the kind of streamer who like needs to be the best at any game or win any game. I can always restart a game. And I've said this a number of times, whatever. Anyway, I've said it a lot. I can always restart a game. I can always jump back into a lobby. I can always find a new game to play. But those interactions, like if I'm ignoring somebody or I miss something in chat, which, I mean, it happens and I hate it, but that is just a fact of like, you can't get really locked into a certain zone because sometimes chat's flying, sometimes it's not, you got to gear up and gear down. And I don't know, sometimes you want to be able to create more thoughts or expand on things and you miss chats and you forget to go back or you read them in your head, but look, stuff happens essentially. And so, I have to choose between chat or talking to the other person that's playing with me. And if you're collaborating, you don't want to ignore who you're playing with, of course, you want to highlight them. So it's kind of like you veer off into different directions there, and it's, what do you do? Where do you go from there? So collaborating has always been one of those tougher things for me, and that's essentially where this channel comes into play, is like, okay, we could sit here and just have a clean conversation about what's going on. There's no distractions, there's no sound alerts, there's no anything coming out of left field. I don't have to like stop everything and introduce myself a million times. Like, you guys will know what to expect here, essentially. And this is just a little bit about this channel and what we have going on here. So that's kind of where this started, and it brings me back to my point of like, speaking of starting, just get started on stuff. Something else I definitely wanted to touch on is how long it has taken me to get to this point. And there's still so much more I wanted to do with this channel and so much more I wanted to like make happen for this podcast. And I wanted to do edits and graphics and things like that for it. But I also have a very stripped down approach to things. So essentially I want to just be able to focus on what's happening. I mean, Most of my YouTube stuff I don't use a camera for, but my Twitch thing I usually use a camera. So this is kind of a new territory, I guess, for me where I'm not really reacting to anything, especially if I'm doing like these one-of-one podcasts or whatever. But when I'm talking to somebody, hopefully it'll be more like a conversation. And we don't have a studio. We don't have anything like that, of course. So when it comes to starting things in general, creative wise on YouTube or wherever, I personally always feel like I want to know exactly what I need and do what I need to do and get into it. Now, I have ideas that are bigger than my budget, bigger than the space I have, bigger than anything I am capable of doing in the moment. So it's always tough for me to start things up. And I think that's kind of the main thing, one of the main things that it I guess derails people from starting. Is just having the perfect setup or the perfect starting point. I know that has stopped me from doing YouTube initially, as I didn't know really how I wanted to have it all done and things like that. But the advice that was given to me by my friend, a running target, and that is advice I will always share with everybody, is just get something out there. Just start, just put something out there. You can always, delete it later if it's not good enough. You can always tweak it. You can change what you want to change. You can look back on it and think, hey, this is my starting point. Let's get better from here. This is what I do differently next time. And just build on that. Build the momentum. I mean, it's a creative space. There's never a person who just puts something out and immediately, like, that's it. They're at the peak and there's nowhere to go but down from there. You don't start at your peak. You usually start, build, and change and evolve and grow over time. You're always changing your stream. You're always changing your YouTube. It doesn't matter how technologically advanced you are or how good your art is or anything like that. Like, there's always more you can do. So to say, like, I want this to be perfect when it first comes out is just wild, because it will never be perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect, You'll be proud of something, but you can be more proud of the next thing. So that was always one of those things that just kind of stuck with me, is like, yeah, you're right. Let me just let me just get something out there. And sorry, I know I'm like kind of sick still, but that's the funny thing, actually, not to, get too sidetracked, but as soon as this new year came on, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get this podcast rolling. This is going to happen. I've been saying it for years, like, let's just do this thing. And then I got really sick for like a week or so, had no voice, couldn't even get through a sentence without coughing, headaches, all that stuff. And so I'm sitting here now like, wow, that's, I'm not even letting that, I don't even care. I'm not holding it off anymore. I can get through a sentence without, choking or coughing or whatever. So, like, let's just get this thing done. So yeah, anyway, to get back on track, that was just a big thing. It's just getting started, like, okay, put something out there, learn from it. So I essentially, the first video I ever put out was just a recording of, I think, God, I don't know, Phasmophobia or something like that. And everything about it is wrong, like, I look back on it and think, okay, I would have done this different. I would have done that different, but it's something, though, any kind of views on it is better than just not doing it at all, in my opinion. If it's constructive feedback, you can change things, get better. If it's positive feedback, well, there you go, But yeah, I learned from that, like, hey, this is how I want to record from now on. This is how I want to make a video. This is what I want my videos to be like. The audio needs to be tweaked a little bit. An intro and an outro can be added on. And now, I mean, I have videos that are months in advance put out and scheduled, and they are ready to go, and they're way farther ahead, and they're still not where I want them to be. They never will be, because you're always going to want to do more. You're always going to want to evolve your content. So just get something out. Just start working on it. You got to start building and snowball that into what it is today and what it'll be in 5 years or whatever, but you have to start somewhere, and you might as well start now. The other thing I know that hinders people from starting anything like this is just the anxiety of doing it. It is a weird thing to do. I know the frequent question I get asked all the time is like, how do you just have stuff to talk about? How do you, if nobody's talking to you, how do you constantly have things to talk about? And when it comes to streaming and things like that, like, I go into a stream thinking I am going to be entertaining people. Whether that's the case or not, that's how I view my stream. So I don't need people to come in and entertain me with a conversation. I'd love to talk to people and it helps, but in my opinion, streaming is just an entertainment medium, a creation platform, of course, like Twitch, where you get on, you stream, and people watch, enjoy, listen. And if they want to talk or in the moment share something or whatever the case may be, they can. But it's an option, it's not an expectation. Because YouTube, if you watch a video, and I know there's streaming on YouTube and all that stuff, but you go to YouTube for videos essentially. You can comment, but it's not real time exchanges or interactions. Well, that's the beauty of streaming. You can have that real time interaction. So there's this anxiety that's kind of built from, well, I want people to talk to me the whole time. And if I'm not talking, then, it makes me nervous, or I don't know if people will like me, or there's a lot of different angles for the anxiety to happen. And I would say just for all of that, like, it is your space, if people like you, they will be there. And if they don't have to be there. I mean, that's the beauty of having your own space. See, like when I'm creating something, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or wherever, I just look at it like, this is literally my place, my area to talk and do whatever. I'm always a lot more comfortable in my space. And I know that's kind of like the opposite of what a lot of people feel, which I always find a little strange too, is like, okay, so you've set this stream up, you have, friends that come in and out of it. People want to be in your stream because of you. So what are you afraid of? What are you nervous about? I understand there are many reasons, and you can't help anxiety, but for me personally, it was hard for me to wrap my head around that, like, that feeling, because I could just sit in there and feel more comfortable than anywhere else. I mean, I don't feel as comfortable literally anywhere else than I do in my own stream, because I know if, like, something's not going right, we can always just start again tomorrow, or if somebody doesn't like me, they don't have to be there. It's not like I'm at the, like if you're at work or something, I'm a lot more shy and reserved because, like, we're at work, we have to be here, we have to be interacting, and maybe somebody doesn't want to interact with you, but you have to be professional still. So like here, it's like, it doesn't matter, it's the internet. If I don't like something, I can say, all right, well, I'll see you later. So it just feels like, you're in control, and I get the anxiety angle for a number of reasons, but that was always one that was kind of interesting to me. So especially starting something like this, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of anxiety when it came to starting this channel. I just keep having to remind myself, like, just start it, I raised questions, and I still have questions on, like, how it's going to look, how it's going to come out, where it's going to go, how do I upload, how often do I upload, all these things. And I always want to have all the answers, but I don't, and at this point, it's like, I just want to start making this happen, and we can grow and evolve this thing over time. We can have suggestions on things we like, things we don't like, whatever. But the main point of this is I want to just get thoughts out. I want to answer questions on here. I want to do, these solo things where we can have a more kind of like direct window into what I do, or any background things that people want to know about me. I want to do like a question and answer thing for this as well. The Twitch stream, I know we always have a lot of questions. People ask, like, how I did this, or what works, what didn't work, that kind of thing, mistakes I made, things that worked out really well. And I'd love to answer that here and just have it. That way, like, it is here forever, and people can come and get this information if they ever need to, whenever they need to. Yeah, I just think full transparency and a place where the resources just kind of live on forever. It's pretty important, The beauty of a live stream is that anything can happen, and it's very spontaneous. The YouTube channels I've made, I've kind of wanted to keep that, like, I mean, here there's no script, I'm just talking. The main channels, same deal. I just talk. I just play a game and react to it or whatever. I just have fun and enjoy memories and games and things like that. But it is a more controlled environment because it is just me, the game, and essentially a YouTube recording. But it lives on forever. Now, the live stream, stuff happens and it's there and gone, and sometimes people clip stuff or whatever, but it comes and goes. Whereas this stuff, it'll be around and we can, just have it archived and whatnot. So I think that's kind of a cool little dynamic between the two. And I am not opposed to having anybody on this podcast. I think if you create stuff and you want to promote stuff or talk about stuff, I don't care if you just started, you've been doing it for 10 years, do stuff I don't even know about. Like if you make a type of music I've never heard of, like just, let's talk about it. I'm interested. I want to know. And I want my buddies to know, and I want your buddies to know, and I want just to discuss things we all love and care about. I don't know how long these are going to be. I'm not going to script it. I'm not going to think about how long any of this stuff should be. I think essentially if we can get some very good, meaningful interaction and dialogue out, I don't think there should be any kind of like cap on when we start, when we end, all that stuff. I think it's just like, hey, let it happen, There's going to be growing pains, of course, like there's with everything, but, that's just to be expected. I find a lot of value in making sure that we have these ideas and act on them. So it feels good to just kind of talk and get this whole thing out there. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of overview about what I know we just kind of went all over the place and talked about everything, but there's a lot of ideas behind this. There's a lot of questions behind why I do it here, what, it took to start this or anything like that. And we can always go into more detail about that later on. And I'm sure this will come up if I'm talking to people, but I definitely have people lined up already that we know we're interested in and are doing a lot of cool things. I have met a lot of great people along the way, and I would like to keep meeting a lot of great people. Something kind of controversial about that, though, is it's like, you don't want to just meet friends for the sake of meeting friends. You want to make sure these are actual connections and interactions. And I'm not networking just to network or anything like that. I talk about this a lot lately, is I don't really go out of my zone. Like if you have a friend that you think would vibe with me, I have no problem meeting them. If you recommend or guide, raids or follows or subs or whatever to the channels, like that's awesome too. And I have no problem interacting and meeting with those people. But I have always thought, like, I'm not the kind of person that's going to go out of my way to find more people, because I think that I need to strengthen connections I have with people I already know. I want to make sure I'm not just saying like, hey, I've known this person for 4 years. That's a good amount of time. I'm going to go, meet somebody else now. And I have friends I've known for as long as I've been on this platform at this point, and they are going to be friends for life. I don't care. Like I've met them in person. I've hung out with them. I've collaborated with them in other ways. And that'll just be a thing forever. I think that's very important. And it's, I've always not really understood that mentality of growing. And I think that kind of hinders people a lot more as they try to meet as many people as possible. But instead of having like 100 friends, they have 1,000 acquaintances or 5,000 names they remember, but nothing else about them. So this is a way of like, if I meet somebody new or I talk to somebody new, that's hours of interacting and finding out a bit about them and they find out a bit about me. So it's going to be a deep and meaningful connection versus just, hey, here I am. Like, well, God, not to get too far, down this rabbit hole, but that's kind of why I was lucky when I started streaming. And I think that's a testament to like how things kind of grew as fast and I guess just innocently as they did. Is I didn't know, this whole networking strategy or the support strategy or any of that on Twitch. I just got on and was excited to be streaming. I wanted to create things, and I've always loved creating, and I wanted to make friends with people that had mutual interests, and I wanted to strengthen connections I had with people that I moved across country. So like a lot of my friends back home, if they streamed or were on the platform, it's a great way to connect with them again. If I was playing, a multiplayer game, but it had a limited amount of spots and more people wanted to hang out, this is a great way to do it and rotate people in and stuff. So it was just something I just enjoyed, and I love talking to people. And I think that's something people don't understand fully about me, is I really do like just talking to people and getting to know what they do and what they create. So it's always this little like uneasiness when people first come in there and they think like, man, does he really want to know about me? Or, is it okay if I talk about my streams or my stuff here? It's like, yeah, definitely. I mean, we all share that one thing in common, that we all are on a platform to create, or just we're trying to get on a platform to create. We're there together. So in my opinion, like for me personally, that's something I want to know and I want to do. And I don't care if people disagree with that. Like 100%, I believe in that. In fact, where like, if we disagree, I fully support um your ability to disagree and do things however you want to in your stream. Your stream is your stream. You do it exactly the way you want to. I could have the complete opposite idea of what a stream should be, but literally you are, making your space, make it the way you want to. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I mean, if we disagree, I understand why, but at the same time, that's literally how it should be. And anybody who comes into your stream to give you advice on how to stream, unless you ask for it, like, it makes no sense. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I see it happen all the time, though. It's so strange. And then the whole like people trying to fast track it stuff, like, it's just like, look, just, you gotta love creating. You gotta love what you do. You gotta do things your way. Otherwise, what is the point? So that's just always how I've kind of looked at it. And that's another tie into why we're doing this, is because I genuinely do like to talk to people and get to know people. And so this is going to help with that a lot. And like I say, those socials that I have in the box next to me, that's where we're going to be talking to people. But anytime I do a solo thing like this, I'll probably have that up there, or possibly like if we do a Q&A thing, we'll have that up there too. I kind of have them in order of like where I do things. I have a video every day on the Andy channel for YouTube. The Havocast one, I do a couple videos a month on that. It's just kind of whatever. But you're always welcome to submit games or ideas or things to talk about on any of these channels. Hang out anywhere you want to. It's all of this is to connect with people, and I have no problem connecting with anyone on any one of these platforms. But yeah, I try to be as accessible as possible, as long as within reason. I don't have a ton of time, and I don't want to sound like, I'm super important or busy or anything like that. I mean, I create my own schedule, but literally it's because I try to keep myself as like on track and honest as possible. If I'm doing this full time, I don't want to waste anybody's time or money, like just straight up. If you support the streams or the channels or anything, like, I'm not going to sit around and just do nothing. So I try to spend every minute I can working on stuff, and that's just how I've always kind of thought about it. I worked hard at everything I've done in every job. And so this is kind of the same deal. Like, if I'm doing this full time, I'm not going to waste your time and money. And I really greatly appreciate everybody's, help or contributions in any way along the way, whether it's a hello, a chat, a sub, a bit, whatever the case may be. You all keep this thing going, and I appreciate it very much. You are literally friends, no matter what. I think that's something we all got to remember. I've heard creators talk about, I don't really want to, deal with the people, or, this or that, or, I want to just do this alone, or what. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you're going to be doing something in the creative or social space, like, you've got to respect and love the people you're doing this with. I don't know. I mean, that's maybe just me, but I really do appreciate everything everybody does. You never get your time back. So spending any time watching this or on a stream or wherever, like, thank you so much for that. And hopefully I can keep delivering more and more stuff. I'm not opposed to continuing to do this if I have to work either or anything. I know I say that all the time, but I genuinely mean that. Like, I will never put anybody in a position where, you feel like you have to do something or I'm going to just disappear. It's not going to be the case ever. And the more projects and stuff I do, hopefully the more we can kind of solidify that. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that too. I want this to live on forever and I'm going to touch on this very, very frequently too, that I really do appreciate you a lot. I mean, people used to make fun of me for saying that all the time, but genuinely, I don't care. I mean, I don't have a huge vocabulary, and it's the only way I can convey my appreciation at the moment is by doing stuff like this or letting you all know I really do care. And I think about it all the time. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this without you all. I mean, I guess technically I would, but at the level we're doing it at, like, let's be honest. I mean, I would always enjoy this and have a good time, and I will always enjoy this and have a good time too. However, the level we're doing it at now and beyond, I just can't thank you all enough for that. So thank you seriously for everything. And I'm sure I was all over the place today. It's the first one, but a lot of thoughts, a lot of excitement behind this. Just know this is going to be something I cannot wait to continue doing often. And if you guys do want to be part of this, I mean, talk to me on the stream or message me or, comment or whatever. But yeah, I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to talk about anything. I mean, we don't even have to talk about creating, just getting to know each other or whatever. That'd be cool too. But yeah, so I guess we'll wrap this. It'll be a short thing. We'll just wrap this up here, and I will talk to you all. I mean, literally anywhere, anytime. But I hope you all have a good one, and please take it easy. I will see y'all later.